So in this video lecture, we will solve some problems using the Smith chart, some transmission line problems using the Smith chart. So let me begin with, we will make an attempt rather to solve a problem which we solved earlier in one of the earlier lecture videos. And just to quickly recall that problem, the problem statement was there, which I will not write the problem statement. I will just explain what was the problem. We had a patch antenna. And there was a section of transmission line connected to it. The patch antenna had an impedance of 35 plus J35 ohms, and the length of the transmission line connected to the patch antenna was L1, and there was a 50, and the characteristic impedance of this section of transmission line connected to this was 50 ohms, and we were supposed to match this to a 50 ohm line, another 50 ohm line. All this is in the microstrip domain, and we were supposed to identify the characteristic impedance of a lambda by 4 line. A lambda by 4 line which will provide an impedance matching. So this was the problem to be solved, and we know that Z0 would have been square root of the impedance as seen from here, which maybe for the time being, or maybe if I use the notation which I used earlier, or maybe I will just if I use the notation which I used in the earlier video where I solved this, it was Zin into R0. So we had to literally, and what we tried to do there was that we tried to make this length L1, we try to choose this length L1 such that Zin becomes a pure resistance, purely resistive, so that Z0 will also be purely resistive. And to recall, the answer which we got there was Z0 was found to be 77.6 ohms. This was the answer which we got, and this Zin was 120.64 ohms, and R0 of course was 50 ohms. So this is the statement of the problem, and L1 was determined to be 0.126 lambda. So this problem we will, and if you recall, we went through a lot of calculations to arrive at the L1 so that this impedance is purely resistive. And of course the rest of it was fairly easy, because then you just have to calculate what is that resistance and then use it in this. So bulk of the complication was in finding out what is L1. So now let us solve this problem, the same problem using transmission lines. So the first step is, so I will clean this because we know the answers by now. The first step, so the model of this problem, so I will draw the model instead of having this entire, so I'll just draw the model. There is a transmission line of certain length L1 to which we have connected a load ZL, which is, or ZR, I think ZR is the notation we have been using, 35 plus J35 ohms, that represents the antenna, and this L1, and then there is a 50 ohm line. This is 50 ohm. We have to match the two using a lambda by 4 line. We have to find out what is its characteristic impedance. This is the problem. The problem boils down to this model. Now let us make an attempt to solve this problem using the Smith chart. Okay, so first thing is we normalize. First thing is we normalize the characteristic impedance. Sorry, we normalize the load impedance. So we do ZR by R naught. R naught is 50 ohms. So we normalize. So our attempt, the first attempt is to find out what is L1 and then what is the corresponding input impedance, so that the input impedance is purely real. So the whole exercise of finding L1 is to ensure that the input impedance here is real. So ZR by R naught, that is ZR by 50, that will be 35 plus J35 by 50. So without wasting much time, we can write it as 0.7 plus J 0.7, because 35 by 50 gives us 0.7. Yeah. So this is the normalized impedance. Now the next job is to locate this point, this particular impedance, normalized load impedance on the transmission line. So what we do is we take the transmission line now, locate this on the Smith chart. So we take a fresh Smith chart. So we have to locate 0.5 plus J, 0.7 plus J 0.7. 0.7 plus J 0.7 we have to locate on this. Right. So the 0.7 circle is this RA 0.7. This is the RA 0.7 circle. You can see 0.7 here. If you have a copy of Smith chart, it is better. You can see it readily. You can solve the problem along with me. So you have 0.7 here, RA 0.7, and XA point XA is here 2. I hope it's visible. It is 2. It is 1.8, 1.6, 1.4, 1.2, 1, 0.9, 0.8, and 0.7. So XA 0.7 is here and RA 0.7 is here. So you have to identify the coinciding point of these two circles, the intersection of these two circles, and that happens to be this. This is what it is. This is what it is. Over here. Right. Now, having identified that point, we just connect the center to that point and extend it over here. I'll tell you why we are extending it till the end. So I extend it till here. So remember, this is 0.7 plus J 0.7. That is 0.7 RA plus J 0.7, that is 0.7 XA. Now, the next step is that, having identified that, we want the input impedance to be real. So that we want L1 to be such that the input impedance is real. Now, if you carefully observe here, these are the, so remember, if you come back to this model, if you want the input impedance here to be real, and we need to find out what is that L1. So what we have to do is we should go back from here. That means we should move from the load towards the source or generator. We have to move from the load towards the source and generator, and then locate the particular S where the line impedance becomes purely real. That is, the line impedance becomes resistive. And that point, if you cut, the input impedance there will be equal to, will be purely resistive. So what we do is, I repeat, we have to move away from the load towards the source and keep on checking what is the line impedance. And at that point where the line impedance becomes purely resistive, that means real, we just cut the line. That is our L1. And if we cut the line there, if you cut this line there, the input impedance then will be purely resistive, will be real. And then we can use this lambda by 4 line with appropriate choice of its characteristic impedance to match it with the 50 ohm line. So that is our task. So we need to move away from the load. So when I come back here, as I explained earlier in the previous video, when you can see here wavelengths towards generator. So if you move like this, you are moving towards the generator. This was explained. You are moving towards the source. So if you move this way, you are moving towards the source. Towards the source or the generator. Towards the source of the signal or the generator, the signal generator. So you have to move like this. Now, as we move this way, it is better I draw a circle here. There is a name for this circle that I will explain in the next problem. So let me draw a circle here, part of a circle. So I move towards the source, and I move towards the source to that extent, and as I explained in the previous video, one full movement around the Smith chart is equal to lambda by 2 in the transmission line. So I move towards the source, and when I reach here, you can see that the impedance becomes purely resistive, because this line, that is the U axis, is where XA is 0, and it will have various values for RA depending on to which circle this goes and touches. So XA is 0 on this line. So I move away from the load towards the source till I end up getting. So as you can see here, as I move, the line impedance varies because it starts to pass through various points of intersection between RA and XA circles. So the line impedance keeps on changing. This is the line impedance at S equal to 0. That is nothing but the load impedance. And then as you can see, the line impedance varies as I go away from the this is the load actually. As I move away from the load towards the source, the line impedance keeps on changing because, as I said, I am passing through various intersections of the R and XA circle. And finally, when I reach here, I pass through XA0 and some other RA, which is giving me a purely real line impedance. So it is this distance which I have moved in the Smith chart. I have to translate this distance into a linear distance in the transmission line to know how far from the load I have to go, so that I end up getting a resistive line impedance. So at that point, if I cut, I will have an input impedance which is purely real, which is resistive. So this I have to measure. Now, if you come here, you can see wavelengths towards generator. These are wavelengths towards generator over here, and this line which I extended is intersecting with a value which is, so this is over here I have 0.12, this is 0.12, these are in lambda, so 0.12 lambda and 0.13 lambda. It is divided into 5 subdivisions, so each subdivision is 0.002. That means this becomes 0.122, 0.124, 0.126, 0.128, 0.13. So this is somewhere between 0.122 and 0.124. So maybe we can take it as 0.123. So this is 0.123 lambda. These are in terms of lambda. This is 0.123 lambda. Now I have moved like this and I have reached this point on the Smith chart, and this is 0.25. So over here it is 0.25. So this point, that is the u, horizontal u axis, this is 0.25. Maybe I'll write here 0.25 lambda. So the distance over the Smith chart in terms of the distance that I have moved here, because as I said, one full circle around the Smith chart translates to lambda by 2. Now I have not moved one full circle, I have moved only a fraction. Now that will be 0.25 lambda minus 0.123. So 0.25 lambda minus 0.123, if I do, I will easily get L1. 0.25 lambda minus 0.123 lambda. So if I do this, I will get the distance I have to move from the load towards the generator, so that I end up getting a purely resistive input impedance. So this will be equal to 0.1. You can calculate this, you will get something like, so let us do that quickly here. If you have a calculator, you can do it faster. This minus 0.123, I get 0.127. So we can see that it is 0.127 lambda, which is it is extremely close to what we got through our analytical method in the previous, when we did this previously, and it was 0.126 lambda that we got there, and here we are getting it as 0.127 lambda. All the effort that you have to put here was just to locate a few points on the Smith chart, which it will become very easy once you are used to the Smith chart. So this part L1 has been successfully determined to be 0.127. Next, we quickly try to find out what is that impedance, what is the input impedance here, if L1 is 0.127 lambda. Now that can also be easily read from the Smith chart. So this is nothing but, so maybe I will slightly darken it. I will use a separate Smith chart, different Smith chart for my next problem. Now this is K5, because S is 0 here. At this point S is 0. We are exactly at the load. And this is K 5 minus, in fact you can see 5 will be around 90. It's quite obvious, but we are not bothered about that right now. This will be K5 minus beta S, and that S is now L1, because we have moved a distance L1 away from the load towards the source. So here you have K5 minus beta L1, and this, and hence this, the resistance here, the value of the resistance that you are going to get here has to be the input impedance at that point in the transmission line where you are at a distance L1, that is 0.126 lambda from the load. So let us read this resistance. So this is now, if you can see, it is slightly more than or almost this circle. Maybe for all practical purposes we can take it as this circle. And this circle, if you see, is between, if you have a Smith chart you can follow me, it is between 3, radius 3, rather RA3, this is RA3, and this is RA2. It is between these two, and there are, again if you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subdivisions between the two. That means this is 2.2, 2.4, 2.6, 2.8, and then 3. So 2.2, 2.4, it is 2.4. So the input impedance is 2.4 as read from the Smith chart, but you know that on the Smith chart it is RA that is shown, or rather RA plus JXA that is shown in general. XA is 0 at that point, so it is RA that is shown. So the actual impedance will be RA into R0, because we have normalized everything with respect to R0 at the beginning when we derive the Smith chart. So the impedance Z in, the impedance here will be equal to 2.4 into 50, because 50 is the characteristic impedance, and this result turns out to be 24 into 5, which is 120 ohms. And compare this with the answer which we got earlier. It was 120.64. Tolerable difference. 120 ohms is the answer we get from the Smith chart. Maybe if you are more precise, it is possible to get something closer to this. And what we got through our what we got by the analytical method earlier in the previous video was 120.64 ohms. Now the problem is solved, because we know now the input impedance is 120 here, and the length of this is lambda by 4. We know that this side it is 50 ohms, so we can find out what is the characteristic impedance of this. It will be nothing but square root of 120 into 50, which gives a value which is fairly close to 77.6. 77.6 was the result we got earlier. So 120 into 50 will give us a result which is fairly close to what we got earlier, and what we got earlier was 77.6 ohms. So this demonstrates, of course, since we are still new to Smith chart, it may look a bit complicated in understanding how to use it, but with experience you will see that using the Smith chart becomes much more easier than carrying out all these calculations with complex numbers. Okay, so the next problem is the statement is this. There is a transmission line and it has a characteristic impedance of 300 ohms. It is a high frequency, of course, it's a lossless line, and it is terminated in a load ZR equal to 150 plus J150 ohm. So we are given the load impedance and we are also given the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. We have to find the following, of course, by using a Smith chart. We have to find the VSWR. VSWR is voltage standing wave ratio. It is nothing but the same as the SWR that we have been discussing. So if we are asked to find VSWR, remember it is the SWR that we have to find out. We have to find out the reflection coefficient K. We have to find out impedance at 0.1 lambda from the load. That means 0.1 lambda from the load towards the generator. What is the line impedance or input impedance? And we have to also find out what is the admittance at the same point, which is 0.1 lambda from the load. And finally, we have to find out the position of the first voltage minimum from the load. So this is our problem, this is the statement, and we have to solve this obviously using the Smith chart. So let's attempt a solution using the Smith chart. Okay, so first step is to normalize. We are given ZR as 150 plus J150. So the normalized impedance, that is, if I were to write what is RA plus JXA, I would end up doing 150 plus J150, that is ZR, divided by 300, that is R0, which simply gives us 0.5 plus J 0.5. Remember, it is normalized, it is dimensionless because you have divided ohms with ohms. So 0.5 plus J 0.5. RA is 0.5, XA is 0.5. RA is 0.5 and XA is 0.5. So let us locate it on the transmission line. Sorry, locate it on the Smith chart. I think it is the second or third time I am saying transmission line for Smith chart. Okay, so I've taken a fresh Smith chart, and recall Then RA is 0.5. I have cleaned it now. RA is 0.5, XA is 0.5. So RA 0.5 is here, this circle. Again, if you have a Smith chart with you, you can follow closely what I am doing. RA 0.5 is here. This is RA 0.5. And XA 0.5 is here. This is 0.6, so this is 0.5. XA 0.5 is here. This is XA 0.5. And RA 0.5 is here. So the coinciding point is this. This is where it's coinciding. You can do it with a pencil so that if you make a mistake, you can erase it. But if you have other copies of Smith chart, you don't have to reuse the same. So this is the point which corresponds to RA 0.5, XA 0.5. Now we will connect the origin to this and extend it, because we have to find the input admittance 0.1 lambda away. So at that time we need this information, this angle information. Wavelengths towards generator, this information we need at that time. So I'll just extend it, and this let it be there as it is. So the second part of the question is to find out the reflection coefficient. So we will find out the second part of the question before we find out the SWR. But don't be under the impression that I am going to find the SWR using, or the VSWR using K by putting it in the expression for S. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to solve the entire problem using the Smith chart. So I will we'll measure K first, and I have explained. So this is actually, again, if I write it down here, so I write it down here. I will not put an arrow and write. I'll write down here. This is K5, because you are at the load S equal to 0. This is K5. Now K is this. This is how we measure K. We measure this distance. This gives us the magnitude of K. And we go to this linear scale here. Reflection coefficient E or I. This scale we have to choose. That is the second from the bottom. This is the center, so 0. And you can see that it is between 0.4 and 0.5. This is 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. It is between 0.4 and 0.5. I suggest you keep a Smith chart with you so that you can follow me. It is exactly between 0.4 and 0.5. Without wasting much time, we can straight away say that the magnitude of reflection coefficient is 0.45. So part 2 of the answer is, part 2 of the question is answered. Reflection coefficient. So maybe I'll write the answer here. K, magnitude, not answered fully, we have found out only the magnitude. K magnitude is 0.45. And we can now find out what is the angle. So if you come back, I had explained this in the towards the end of the previous video, previous lecture. So here, angle of reflection coefficient in degrees. It's increasing like this: 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 and 120. So this is between 110 and 120. If you see here, 1 subdivision, 2, 3, 4, 5 subdivisions are there. So each subdivision has to be 2 because 112, 114, 116, 118, 120. That means the angle is equal to 112, 114, 116. 116 is the angle. So we have our second part of the question is answered. Second part of the question is answered. K is 0.45, so I'll now write it like this. We have the magnitude K is equal to 0.45 and 116 degrees. Second part is done. Now we move on to find out the first part. Now before I explain how the SWR is determined from the Smith chart, there is a little bit of theoretical explanation required. Just to appreciate, I can of course tell you how to read it out from the Smith chart, but a bit of theoretical explanation just to know why it is so. Okay, so let's say we have, this is a general arbitrary case. We have the Smith chart. We have the Smith chart. And let us say that this is our K. Let's just say this is K. Let's say this is K, magnitude K, and this angle is phi minus 2 beta s. So just say this is the case. Now, we know that K magnitude is equal to s minus 1 by s plus 1. This is known. This is a standard result which we have discussed earlier. Which means that this is actually s minus 1 by s plus 1. This length is s minus 1 divided by s plus 1. Now suppose you draw a circle around the center, a concentric circle with the r equal to 0 circle, but its radius as equal to magnitude K. Its radius is equal to the magnitude of K. Suppose you draw a circle like this. Now what happens is, at the point where this circle intersects the u axis, the positive side of the u axis, at the point where it intersects, this will be, because as I said, magnitude of K is s minus 1 by s plus 1, this will be s minus 1 by s plus 1, the radius, right? Because we are drawing the concentric circle which has a radius equal to magnitude K, that is s minus 1 by s plus 1. And since this is 1, remember the RA is equal to 0 circle has a unit radius. It has a unit radius. So since this is 1, because as I said, RA equal to 0 circle has a unit radius, this is 1. This will be 1 minus s minus 1 by s plus 1. That will be, a simple calculation shows that it will be 2 divided by s plus 1. So 2 divided by s plus 1 and s minus 1 divided by s plus 1. If you add the two, you will get s plus 1 by s plus 1, which is 1. Which means that this, if you draw a circle here with this as a center, that is the exact midpoint, that is you draw a circle here which has a radius 1 by s plus 1. You draw a circle here which has a radius 1 by s plus 1. Now this circle will correspond to some RA in the Smith chart, because you know that the R constant RA circles are like this. So this circle will correspond, this circle which has a radius equal to 1 by s plus 1 or diameter equal to 1 by s plus 1. So radius of this circle is 1 by s plus 1. It will correspond to some RA. And for a given RA, the radius of the circle is 1 by 1 plus RA. Which means that the RA of this circle which touches the circle which has a radius s minus 1 by s plus 1 on the u is equal to, on the real u axis, will have a value equal to s, because 1 by s plus 1 is equal to 1 by 1 plus RA. Comparing the two, you can clearly see that RA has to be equal to s. So I repeat, if you are given the value of k, or somehow if you know the value of k, it could be through RA and XA, whatever it is. With the value of k, if you could locate that k on the Smith chart, and then if you draw a circle, concentric circle with the RA equal to 0 circle, the radius, the RA circle which touches this circle on the real u axis will have an RA which is equal to the SWR. So that is what is we understand. Now, by a continuation of that, you can see that this will be 1, this will be 1, and this is anyhow s minus 1 by s plus 1. So this as a whole will be 1 plus s minus 1 by s plus 1. This as a whole, because this is 1 and the radius of this circle is s minus 1 by s plus 1. And that gives us 2s divided by s plus 1. 2s divided by s plus 1. Which means that the circle, this circle which corresponds to some RA, this circle which corresponds to some RA and which is centered here, will have a radius s by s plus 1. And that, because this entire thing is 2s by s plus 1, diameter of this circle is 2s by s plus 1, that means its radius is s by s plus 1, which will be equal to 1 by 1 plus RA, where that RA is some RA corresponding to this circle, which depends on the k, of course. It's a general discussion. So from this, it is possible to simply cross multiply the things and see that S is equal to 1 by RA. That means while the RA here of this circle gives you S, the RA of this circle gives you 1 by S. So you can find out S either from this intersection or this intersection. If you are finding it out from this intersection, in the sense the RA of the circle which is coinciding with this circle, if you are trying to find out S from that, then S is equal to this RA. If you are trying to find it out from here, then S will be 1 by this RA. That is what we observe here. Right. Now with this knowledge, we can solve the first part of the question. We have solved only the second part still. So we can solve the first part of the question. I will bring back the Smith chart which I had earlier with me. So this was the K that we had. So now we draw a circle. So this circle, for obvious reasons, by now you must be able to appreciate, this circle is called as the SWR circle. The circle that we draw like this, that is called as the SWR circle. So complete this circle. Yes. And you can read the standing wave ratio easily. So as I said, you can see it is, this circle is, this is the real u axis. it is coinciding here, and fortunately it is almost exactly coinciding with this circle. You don't have to worry much about reading between two circles now. It is almost coinciding. So we'll take it as this circle, and this circle is, this is the 3 circle, 3, 3.2, 3.4, 3.6, 3.8. Sorry, it is reducing. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. So this will be 3, 2.8, 2.6, just to confirm, 2.4, 2.2, 2. So it is 3, 2.8, 2.6. So the RA corresponding to this circle is 2.6, which means that the VSWR or the SWR is 2.6. So we have answered the second part also. Sorry, the first part. So we are not answering it in sequence. So answer to the first part is S is equal to, I think 2.6 is what we read. So 2.6 is the standing wave ratio. You can also see that, you can also see where it is coinciding with the which circle over here. This is almost 0.4. This is 0.4. So 1 by 0.4 is the standing wave ratio. And what is 1 by 0.4? 1 by 0.4 will be, you can verify, 1 by 0.4 will be 10 by 4. So that is 5 by 2. That is almost 2.5, which is very close to 2.6. So that is how we read the SWR from the Smith chart. So 2 parts of the question we have tackled. Now the third part of the question is, was this. We have to find the impedance as 0.1 lambda from the load. Impedance at 0.1 lambda from the load. So let's go back to the Smith chart. 0.1 lambda from the load. Impedance 0.1 lambda from the load. So this is now the load. This is at the load. And this is, again, you can see in the Smith chart, it is wavelengths towards generator. So you have to move in this direction. You have to move towards the source from the load. And you have to move 0.1 lambda. That means this is now, again, if you have a Smith chart, again I repeatedly say you have a copy of Smith chart with you to understand this. 0.08, 0.09 lambda, of course it is in terms of lambda. So this is 0.082, 0.084, 0.086, 0.088, 0.088 lambda. So if I have to move 0.1 lambda towards the source, I should locate 0.188 lambda, because 0.088 lambda. From there, if I move 0.1 lambda towards the source, I have to, for example, so if this was 0, I would have gone to 0.1 lambda, but this is 0.088. So to this, I have to add 0.1. So I get 0.188 lambda. 0.188 lambda is here. This is 0.18. This is 0.18, 0.182, 0.184, 0.186, 0.188. So this is it. 0.188 lambda. So I have to find out the line impedance here. That is the third part of the question. So let me be as precise as possible. So this will be this was K phi. This will be K phi minus 2 beta, and I have moved a distance 0.1 lambda. So 2 beta into 0.1 lambda. And this is my, this is the line impedance here. This is the line impedance here. So you can see that it is between 1.6 and 1.4. It is between 1.6 and 1. See, it is 1.6, 1.4. You can take it as 1.5, roughly 1.5. So RA is 1.5. You can verify later if there are any mistakes in this calculation, you can correct it. It is here between. So maybe this circle is 1.6. So if you see, this is 2, 1.8, 1.6, yeah, 1.5. So you can take it as between 1.5 and 1.4, 1.45. Again, I repeat, this is 2, this circle is 2, this is 1.8, this is 1.6, this is 1.4. So this is 1.5, and our circle here is between these two. So that will be 1.45, 1.45 or 1.5, fairly close. So 1.5, RA is 1.5, you can note it down. RA is 1.5, maybe I will roughly note it down here. RA is 1.5, and XA, you can see XA is this is the XA. This is the XA. So XA is between 1.2 and 1. So it is 1.1. XA, this is 1.1. 1.1. So RA is this, XA is 1.1. So the the impedance at 0.1 from load, that is the third part of the question. Answer is 1.5 plus J 1.1, that is normalized, into 300. 300 is the R0. So this becomes the answer to the third part. So next, as I said, is the admittance at 0.1 lambda from the load. So let us not think that since we have the impedance at 0.1 lambda from the load, we can find out the admittance, because you just have to do 1 by this and then manipulate it to get a conductive part and a susceptive part for the admittance. That is not the way we are going to do it. We are going to do it using the Smith chart itself. Now, what happens is, let's go back to the Smith chart. I will explain this without much of a theoretical justification, but some justification I have uploaded in the form of a material. I have uploaded a written material. I have uploaded in the Teams, in our Teams classroom, in the form of a file in the study material. So what we do is, see, this is the at this point, in fact, this was, as I said, this is K phi, and the intersection of the RA and XA circle here gives us the normalized load impedance. In fact, that is how we plotted this K. Similarly, this is K phi minus 2 beta 0.1 lambda, because we have moved 0.1 lambda. So this was K phi minus 2 beta 0.1 lambda, and the line impedance at this 0.1 lambda away from the load was determined by finding out which is the RA and XA circle passing through this point, and that gave us the line impedance 0.1 lambda away from the load. Now, if it is the admittance that we want, we have to extend this in this side, that is the opposite side, and find out the intersection between this extension. Find out the intersection between this extension and the SWR circle. You should find that out. And the corresponding RA and XA will be the conductive and susceptive part of the admittance. So let us try to find out what is the corresponding RA. So this is the point. This is the circle. This is the circle. You can even read here conductance component. That is when we are looking at the admittance. So this circle is between 0.5, 0.52. Sorry, again it is reducing. Made that same mistake. 0.5, 0.48, 0.46, 0.44, 0.42, 0.4. So 0.46, we'll take it as 0.46. So maybe I'll write somewhere here. XA, as per the chart, XA is 0.46, but that is the conductive, sorry, RA is 0.46, but that is, since we are talking about the admittance, it becomes the GA, normalized conductive part of the impedance. GA is 0.46. GA is 0.46. And the XA curve is this. This is the XA curve. This is the XA curve, which is between 0.3 and 0.4. And remember, on this side it is negative, that side it is positive. So XA curve is this. This is the XA curve. And it is between 0.3 and 0.4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subdivisions. So 0.32, 0.34. 0.34 it is. So minus 0.34. Which means that it is no longer XA, it is BA, it is normalized susceptance. It is what was it? It was 0.34. And it is a negative sign, it has a negative sign. I put minus 0.34. So normalized impedance is, so normalized admittance is 0.46 minus J 0.34. That means the actual admittance will be, and remember the normalization here is with regards to 1 by R naught. So the actual admittance is by R naught. So we have the next result, that means admittance at 0.1 lambda from the load. Fourth part, it is, as we saw here, 0.46 minus J 0.34, 0.46 minus J 0.34 divided by 300. That is the normalized admittance. That is the not normalized, it is the admittance at the point which is 0.1 lambda away from the load towards the source. And finally, position of first voltage minimum from the load. Position of the first voltage minimum from the load. So we bring back the Smith chart. This is the load, first voltage minimum from the load. So You are at the load here, and you have to move away from the load towards the source. So we have to find out which is the position of the first voltage minimum from the load as we move towards the source or the generator. So voltage minimum occurs, as you know, voltage minimum occurs when you have R min. So at that value of S where the line impedance is R in, that is where you have the voltage minimum. This was discussed in the one of the previous videos. I think something like 2 videos back it was discussed. So we have to find out the position of first E min, that's what is asked here, the position of the first voltage minimum from the load. So to find out the position of the first voltage minimum from the load, we have to find out the position where the line impedance becomes R min the first time when we move away from the load towards the source. And as you move this way, you can see that here the resistance, the line impedance becomes real, but it is not R min. I'll tell you why it is not R min, because as you move further, the line impedance becomes complex, and when you come here again, the line impedance becomes real. Now you know that the RA on this side will be smaller than the RA on this side. So the purely resistive line impedance which you got here is actually R max. And as you move further away, you reach R min. So this is the position where you get the first E min. If you further move, you reach the next R max in the transmission line. You are moving towards the source or the generator. Remember, as you move like this, again if you move further, you will reach the next R min. So we have to find out the first R min. So as you move away from the load, you reach R max, that is the first R max, and then you further move like this, you reach the R min. Okay, so this is, we have to find out what is this distance. Now this is 1/2 circle around the transmission line. 1/2 circle around the Smith chart. So that will be remember one full circle is lambda by 2. So this will be lambda by 4. So this is lambda by 4. Remember that. So there is a lambda by 4 here, and this is 0.088. And if you see the scale here, you can see again it is written here wavelengths towards the generator 0.088 lambda to 0.25 lambda. So 0.25 lambda minus 0.088 lambda. This is this. And further you have to move 0.25 lambda to reach here. So plus 0.25 lambda. This is the position from the load where you will get the first R min, that means the first E min. And that will be 0.5 minus 0.088 lambda, and it can be calculated and shown to be 0.422 lambda, 0.412 lambda. So that is, which means that at a distance of 0.412 lambda from the load, you encounter the first R min. And where you have R min, you have E min. So that part is answered. Now along with this, there is one interesting thing to be understood. This was explained earlier in some other context, in some other way. Now you have reached E min here. This is R min. And R min, as we saw earlier, is R0 by S. And on the Smith chart, R0 is 1 because everything is normalized with respect to R0, which means that this resistance, the resistance you read out here, the impedance you read out here is actually 1 by S. And this also tells how we can measure S from the SWR circle. And the resistance you measure here is R max, that is R naught into S, and R naught is 1, which means that the resistance you measure here is S. That is how RA became S. This is a different way of understanding the same thing. There I explained in terms of the radius of the circles. So in the context of this problem, we have answered the last part also, the fifth part. The position of first voltage minimum from the load is 0.412 lambda away from the load towards the source is the position of the first voltage minimum. And that completes the solution of this problem. So we take the last problem. So here a lossless line of R naught is equal to 50 ohms. That means a lossless transmission line of characteristic impedance 50 ohms is to be matched to a load which is ZR equal to 5.6 minus J 10.4 ohms. So it is a capacitive load because the reactive part is negative. And it has to be matched by a lossless short circuit stub. The R naught of, that means characteristic impedance of the stub is 100 ohms. We have to find the stub position and the length. So this is the question. And we will be solving this using the Smith chart. So first up, we have with us the load. So just to very quickly recall the idea of stub matching. We have this load here, ZR. So we identify a position nearest to the load wherein the input admittance is R naught, is 1 by R naught plus or minus JB. And then we connect a short circuited stub of sufficient length such that the admittance of the short circuited stub is 1 by, rather the admittance of the short circuited stub is minus or plus JB. So that when you have, so you have to connect it at a sufficient distance, at the required distance, so that the input admittance becomes this. And the input admittance of the short circuited stub has to be minus or plus JB, so that when you have these two in parallel, the reactive part gets cancelled and the input admittance as seen from here will be 1 by R naught, which means that the input impedance as seen from here will be R naught, and hence it will be matched to an R naught line. So this is the idea. So what we do is, since we have to deal with the admittance here, and of course when I normalize the input admittance, it becomes 1. The real part becomes 1. Okay. So the normalization here is with respect to G naught. That is, you are dividing by G naught, which means you divide by 1 by R naught, which means you have to multiply this with R naught. Please remember that, because you are handling admittance here. So when you normalize with respect to the characteristic impedance, you have to normalize with respect to the characteristic admittance. So I have most of the things already plotted in the Smith chart to save some time here. So we are given the resistance. The resistance was given to be, the load resistance was given to be 5.6 minus J 10.4 ohms. So I normalize it with respect to the characteristic impedance, and I end up getting 0.11 minus J 0.2. Let me just drop this 1. I'll take it as 0.1 minus J 0.2. I will take it like that. It becomes easier for me to demonstrate. So first I locate. This is still, we are still working in the impedance here. This is the load impedance ZR divided by characteristic impedance. I get 0.1, normalized impedance as 0.1 minus J 0.2. So 0.1 is, 0.1 circle is this. 0.1 circle is this, and XA minus 2 is this. So this is the point and the VSWR circle is this. And as I explained in the previous video, if you extend this here and find out the point of coincidence of this extension with the SWR circle, you can measure the admittance. So what is diametrically opposite to the impedance gives you the admittance if you are going to read it from the same Smith chart. So this you can read here, the XA and RA values you can read here. I'll leave it as an exercise for you because I have explained enough how to read it. So you can read the XA and RA values here. You will get the values as 2. XA will be 2. XA will be 2. Yeah, RA value will be 2. I'm sorry, it's not XA. RA value will be 2. You can see 2 here. The circle 2. RA is 2. So that is the mistake I made. It's not XA, it is RA. In a hurry, I said it's XA. And RA will be 3.73. You can see 4 here and 3 here. It is a circle between 4 and 3. So it will be 3.73. So XA is 3.73, which means that since we are reading the admittance from this chart, RA will actually be GA and XA will actually be BA. So we have found out the admittance, the normalized admittance, normalized load admittance we have found out. We could have done it from the load impedance as well, but then there would have been some calculations involved. So here, other than me making a mistake of reading RA as XA, the rest of it was very easy. So you got now the load and normalized load admittance. Now you have to find out how far away you have to move from, so remember this picture, I have to move away from the load impedance so that I end up getting an input impedance which has a real part which is equal to 1 by input admittance which has a real part which is equal to 1 by R naught, or since I have normalized with respect to G naught, the real part equal to 1, real part of the input admittance as 1. So I have to move away from the load. So I start moving away. And I see that at this point I am coinciding with 1. RA equal to 1. That means GA is equal to 1. I am reading the admittance now. So at this point RA is equal to 1, that is GA is equal to 1. And that point reads as 0.298 lambda, whereas this was 0.218 lambda. So I have to move something like 0.08 lambda away from the load. So 0.08 lambda, 0.08 lambda away from the load, and at that point I get the input admittance as having a conductive part 1 and the reactive part I can read, the susceptive part I can read from this. It will be between 3 and 2, so that is going to be something like minus 2.8. Remember, it's negative on this side, minus 2.8. So I have at this point normalized admittance as 1 minus J 2.8. That is at this point, which is at a distance of 0.08 lambda from the load. Now I have to identify the stub, identify the parameters of the stub. So the stub is short circuited. So when I speak in terms of the load admittance, the load is a short circuit here. So when I speak in terms of the load admittance, it is infinite. because it's a short circuit. Load admittance is infinite. So I'm now looking at this as a transmission line. Load admittance is infinite. I should find out how far away I should move from this. So I will draw this as a separate one now. This is a stub. Load impedance is 0. It is short circuited. So admittance is infinite. How far away I should move from this so that the normalized admittance is susceptive, and it is the normalized admittance is purely susceptive, and it is J2.8. Only then when I connect it here, this J2.8 and this J2.8 and this minus J2.8 will cancel. So I have to find out how far away I have to move from this short circuit so that the normalized admittance is purely susceptive, and it is J2.8. So that is the task now. So that can also be done on the using the Smith chart. So remember the characteristic impedance of the stub is 100 ohms. That we have to remember. So this J2.8 was normalized with respect to 50 ohms. So we have to convert that to remove that normalization so that the actual required admittance will be J2.8 divided by 50, which will be J0.056. That will be the actual required admittance. Now we have to normalize it with respect to the conductance corresponding to 100. And when we do that, we get the result as J5.6. So J5.6 is the normalized admittance required for this stub, and we have to find out how far away we have to move so that it is J5.6. The normalized admittance is J5.6. This conversion happens because the characteristic impedance here is not 50. If it was 50, then it would have been just J2.8. Since it is not 50, the normalization scale changes, and hence we have to go for J5.6. So let us do that. So remember the conductive part of the input, the conductive part of the load of the stub is infinite, and RA infinite is here, and since we are now going to read the admittance, infinite admittance GA is here. So from here I have to move away. So that my normalized admittance becomes J5.6. So I move away from here. It will be plus J5.6. So I have to move all the way like this, and I have to come somewhere here because this is 4, this is 5, and this is 10. So 5.6 will be somewhere fairly close to this 5. This is 10. So I can take this as 6, 7, and so on. So 5.6 will be somewhere here. So I have to travel all the round. So this is where I started because GA was infinite, the stub was short circuit. I have to go all the way around like this and come here. Now this can be taken as approximately 0.22 itself. It's slightly more than that, so maybe 0.22 or 0.222 or 0.221. So we'll take it as 0.22 because we are just worried about the calculation. So 0.22, and you have already moved. So this is 0.22, this is 0.25, this is 0.25 because one full circle is lambda by 2. So this is 0.25 lambda by 4, that is 0.25 lambda plus 0.22. So 0.47 lambda is the distance, length required for the stub. So if the stub is of length 0.47 lambda, if the stub is of length 0.47 lambda, if the stub is of length 0.47 lambda, this is of 0.47 lambda, then the input admittance will be J 5.6 normalized with respect to 100 ohm characteristic impedance, or if you find out the actual admittance, this is normalized with respect to 1 by R naught. So I have to multiply with 1 by R naught. So that will be 0.056. 0.056. 0.056. That will be 0.056. That will be the actual admittance, and it will be susceptive. So it will be susceptive J 0.056. And what will be the actual impedance, actual admittance here? The actual admittance here will be, it is normalized. This is the result which we got. It is normalized with respect to R naught, which is 50 ohms. So the actual admittance here will be 1 by 50 minus J 2.8 by 50. And that will be, admittance will be 1 by 50 minus J 0.056. And you can see that the two will cancel off when you connect like this. So this is how you can do single stub matching using Smith chart. So I'll just show those calculations again. So when this length is 0.47 lambda, the normal, and for a 100 ohm transmission line which is shorted here, which is going to act as a short circuited stub, the input admittance here normalized with respect to a 100 ohm characteristic impedance will be, as found out just now, J 5.6. So the actual input impedance will be input admittance will be J 5.6 by 100, because we have normalized it. Now we have to remove that normalization. The result will be J 0.056. Whereas the normalized input admittance here is 1 minus J 2.8, where the normalization is with respect to 50 ohms, because this line is of 50 ohms. So the actual admittance will be this. And this will be 1 by 50, of course, minus J 2.8 by 50 will give us 5.6 by 100, which will be the same as 0.056. So you can see that when you have this with J 0.056 as admittance and this as 1 by 50 minus J 0.056, when you connect the two, this effect will cancel off and you will have effectively an input admittance of 1 by 50 here, which means that this section will be matched to 50 ohms transmission line over here. And that completes the solution to this problem. So our stub will be of length 0.47 lambda.